Hi again. This geometry lesson is just like the last one, you guys. This is showing that the lines are parallel. The other one was proving the lines were parallel, so it's virtually the same. Or the other one was that the lines were parallel. So this is the same math you're doing, you guys. So let's take care of the board problem. So given P is parallel to Q, line P is parallel to line Q. Describe two methods you can use to show that angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. Okay, well, one is, you guys, is you can say these are alternate exterior angles, so they're congruent to each other. Or you can do this. 1 is congruent to 2, and then you can say 2 is congruent to, because they're vertical angles, and then 2 is congruent to 4 because they're corresponding angles. Or you can say 1 is congruent to 3 because their corresponding angles are equal, and then 3 is congruent to 4 because they're vertical angles, and you can do a substitution property on that. Let's see what I did. I think I only did one. Since the lines are parallel, angles 1 and 3 are congruent because they're corresponding angles. Angles 3 and 4 are congruent because they're vertical angles, and therefore by the transitive property, 1 and 4 are congruent. Okay, and so I told you a couple other ways. Okay, so showing lines are parallel. All right, again, this is almost a repeat of section 3.2. All right, so these lines would be parallel if those corresponding angles would be congruent. So subtract 5 and divide by 3, and you would get x equals 20. Okay, so if x equals equal to 20, then those lines would be parallel. All right, is there enough information in that diagram to conclude that line M is parallel to line N? All right, look at that 75. Look at that straight line right there. Can you see that because these two angles right here make a linear pair, they have to add up to 180. So if this is 105, this has to be 75. And then since these two angles are equal, they're corresponding angles, so yes, they would be congruent. So then the lines would be parallel. So since the corresponding angles are congruent, then those lines are parallel. All right, error analysis. The student concludes that line A and B are parallel. Describe the student's error and correct it. All right, what they're thinking of, since they have congruent angles here, but these are vertical angles, you guys. Vertical angles are congruent no matter what. It doesn't matter if these lines are parallel. Vertical angles are always congruent. Similarly, these vertical angles are always congruent. I would need to show that maybe this x is equal to this y, or this x is equal to this y. These would be alternate interiors. These ones would be alternate exteriors. So the student is confused with vertical angles, and they're congruent, but that doesn't mean that the lines are parallel. We'd need to show that x is equal to y to show either alternate interior angles are congruent, or yeah, corresponding angles are congruent. I don't think I did the alternate exteriors on that. Yeah, so anyways, a couple ways, three ways to do that. Find the value of x that makes the lines parallel again. Okay, now remember the trick, you guys. They're either congruent or they're supplementary. So if these guys look like they're congruent, this is an obtuse angle, this is another obtuse angle, and these guys are corresponding angles. So corresponding angles are always congruent. So to make them parallel, you set them equal to each other. Okay, how about this one? Okay, those one's an acute angle, one's an obtuse angle. So they're not congruent. They would have to be supplementary. So add them up to be 180, and then go ahead and crank it out, and you should get x equals 15. All right, let's see. All right, those ones are alternate interior angles. You would set those ones equal to each other and get x equals 20. Okay, same stuff, you guys.